What's up? I'm Ali Berger. I've been making music for something like, finishing tracks for something like 12 years. I also DJ, play live sets, do mixing and mastering. And yeah, today basically what we're going to do, it's not really going to be a tutorial, and it's not really going to be like an against the clock type challenge thing. I'm pretty much just going to make a track as close as possible to how I would do it if I wasn't on a video, on a live stream. And I am gonna use this mic to kind of like explain what I'm doing as I go along. But yeah, before we get started with that, I want to talk about a couple of things. I guess first, just to make sure we're on the same page about what's about to happen, and you're not expecting things that it's not going to be. So, yeah, my main interest in making music is enjoying the actual act of doing it. I'm not really like results driven, and I find that the results tend not to be, there's not really a link between like how long I spend on a track or how hard it feels to finish it, and how good it actually is or whether I like it. Other people might like it. It might be good in some ways, but not in others. So I really just focus on making sure that I'm enjoying the process in itself and getting something useful out of it. So that even if I don't, even if nothing got recorded at the end, even if I deleted what I was just working on, it would have been worth it because that time was, therapeutic in some way, or I learned something. So yeah, it's not, I don't sit down to make like this kind of track or that kind of track a lot of the time. And even if I do, it's always with the intent of just like getting into a groove and being in the moment. Yeah. And I like that a lot because it enables me to make a lot of music without having a lot of pressure associated with it. I'm always trying to reduce that barrier to working on stuff where you get stressed out. There's enough like sources of stress in my life that I really don't need music to become one of them, even though to some extent it's my job. Yeah, so that's the perspective that I'm coming from. This is not like how to make a house track or how to make a hit, a banger or whatever. It's not even how to make a dance floor track. I really don't know what's going to happen. Yeah, and I did say this is going to be as close to how I would normally make a track. There really isn't a normal for me in terms of how I make stuff. Sometimes I just sit down with one drum machine. Sometimes I build like an alternative setup away from all of this where I'm like recording to a 4-track cassette machine or something with just a couple of pieces of gear. Sometimes I'll use samples, sometimes I won't. Sometimes the track comes out just drums, sometimes it has no drums. Like sometimes it takes 3 days and I'm coming back here over and over again, popping in and out of the room, thinking of different ideas. Sometimes it just comes together in an hour, which is admittedly sort of what I'm hoping will happen, but we'll see. So yeah, I'm going to do my best to narrate what's going on in my head and what I'm doing on the equipment as I go, and just, yeah, what everything is doing. There might be contradictions that come up. I may say that I'm going to do something and then not do it. I might either, that's probably because I decided in my head not to do it and then forgot to tell you. But that's kind of part of how it goes. I'm not, nothing I do here is, I'm not suggesting that anything is the right way to do something. It's just a way to do something. Yeah, we're just going to see how far we get with this track. Like I said, I'm hoping it, makes it to the final take where I'll just record off the stereo output of the mixer, but if not, that's fine too. Yeah, this is pre-recorded, but I'll be in the chat to answer any questions people have when it airs. And if there's, maybe for the post at the end, I'll on the Nowadays Patreon, which you should all support. I will. I'll see. If a lot of questions come up, I'll try and compile the most pertinent answers so that there'll be, maybe they can post something with it. And yeah, last thing, I apologize about the low resolution. I have a very old laptop that I'm recording this on because the cable from the camera won't reach to the studio computer. It's battle conditions over here, clearly. Yeah, but yeah, I'll try and, whatever I'm using, I'll try and mention the name of it so you can play along and do some Google image searches, so you can see what the front panels of things look like. So yeah, let's go. The first thing I'm going to do is, it's kind of a gray day outside. I'm feeling like a little bit of a gray mood, and I want to make something, I'm going to try and direct myself towards making something that, a track that's a little bit moodier and not so demanding in terms of like writing a ton of music, just something a little more hypnotic so that we can get it done in this time. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to the Waldorf Blofeld right here. I'm going to initialize the patch, which just takes it back to a saw wave. So I'll actually, it's going to be a little bit of a learning curve for me talking while I do stuff and holding this mic, but I'm initializing the sound. I'm going to go over to the MPC, which is my MIDI sequencer, and I'm selecting the channel that the Blofeld is on, which is channel 3. And what do we got here? No sound. There it is. Volume was down. Okay. So yeah, I'm going to basically change from this saw wave to, this is a wavetable synth. So a wavetable is kind of like a list of waveforms basically that you can morph somewhat smoothly between. So I'm going to try and pick, so there's a parameter for which wavetable. And then there's also a parameter for where in the wavetable you are. So as I sweep that down, you can hear it changing. And what I like to do with this one, I'm going to use this wavetable, and then I'm going to set an LFO. I'm going to set up LFO3 so that it's just triggering basically a different random value every time I press a key. And then I'm going to route that to the wavetable position so that we get a little bit of modulation. And then I'm just going to write a nice 1 bar, maybe 2 bar kind of loop to get us started, melodic thing. And then we'll start filling it in. But this is going to kind of be the bed or like the initial mood of the track. So yeah, here we go. right, so I wrote that in kind of a weird way. It's starting, where I hear it starting is on the third beat of the second measure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the sequence edit mode. And what's going to be the best way to do this? First, I'm going to copy the 2 bars that we've recorded. And then I'm going to go to sequence edit again. I'm going to take the notes from that first beat, or that third beat of bar 2, all the way to the end. And I'm going to copy them to the beginning of the loop. And then, let's see. Yeah. So now I can go and just chop off the last 2 bars. And I got to turn looping back on. I'm actually going to go ahead and just loop that first bar because I think maybe that's going to be better. And then I'm going to erase one of these notes because I don't like it. All right, cool. I might mess with this sound a little bit, or maybe I'll add some drums. I'm just going to try and, get myself in the mood here. So I basically added a second oscillator and routed it through the second filter in the Blofeld and set that filter to a bandpass, so I can fade it up sort of. That second oscillator is much higher up, so I think that's going to sound good. I'm just turning up this delay. It's an Electro Harmonics Grand Canyon. I think it's on the tape mode. I just enabled the ping pong, so there should be a little bit more stereo. And basically, I think this second oscillator will be a cool thing to fade up at some point later in the track. All right, maybe a bass line from this MS-20. to give me an idea that I'm having a hard time following the notes just as they are and trying to play at the same time. So I just recorded, but that was a 1-bar loop, and I really want 2 for this. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this loop down to 1 bar. I had the extra bar, but I just wasn't, I'd set the loop point before it, so we were just hearing 1. So now I'm going to go to sequence edit, I'm going to copy, and now we should have 2 bars. Cool. That's MS-20. Nice and noisy. Alright, now I'm going to add some real drums. That 707 kick is kind of like a placeholder right now, but I have a DR660 over here. Pretty cheap, pretty fun Boss drum machine. Yeah, heard on a lot of like Dance Mania records. But you can also hear it pretty much everywhere else, or at least that sound set. If you look into it and get familiar, and I think those are like $100, maybe a little more than that. Yeah, so I just have it set up. I have it set up where the MPC pads are all mapped to the 16 pads on the front of the DR660. So yeah, basically I'm going to program rhythms on here with these 16 pads, and then over there, when I go over there, I'll be like modifying the sounds if I'm going to do that. And I think I'm going to run it through a Boss SE50, which I have under the mixer. Has this preset called Rhodes, which is meant for pianos. It's like an auto pan, phaser, reverb chorus and EQ like all in one effect preset, and basically it sounds really great on drums. There's some like older techno records that do that. So yeah, I'm gonna program something on the DR660, and then I will. I have this on a send, the SE50. I'll just send the 660 through there, and get a little movement and stuff. And yeah, it's gonna start to kind of sound like old like Ron Hardy DJ mix recordings or something. Yeah. All right. Here we go. What I'm doing right now is changing the. Well, first of all, I just used something called 16 levels mode on the MPC pads, which is really handy for people like me who are just not that great at using the velocity sensitivity on the pads, so how hard you hit them. This maps 16 levels of velocity up all the pads. So as I go up, it gets louder. And that basically just lets you kind of like, it's another way of getting that velocity programming in there. So I'm going to do the same thing, but with this snare sound. I have a different track on the MPC now, like a different sequencer track, so that I'll be able to have the kick drum independently on its own mute button, and then this snare will be on its own, so that when I'm going through to arrange the track, I'll be able to mute those at will and kind of create the structure that way. Yeah. So right there, I just used the note repeat function on the MPC, which is a button you can hold down, and it lets you basically, depending on the pressure that you're using on the pad, that determines how loud the note is, but it just repeats it at whatever time interval you specify. So I have it on 16ths right now, and you can see, you can't really see, but I'm holding down the note repeat button and holding one of the pads for the hi-hat. Yeah. Yeah, so that's really helpful. Another just helpful way to enter rhythms on the MPC. I really love this machine because it gives you so many different ways to kind of, even if you're not a great player, you can get the notes in and get some interesting like rhythmic variations. It's just great for programming beats. And Another thing I did, I have the JJOS paid version. I forget what the actual name is, but you can change the quantize amount, so how much it locks your notes to the grid. And one of the things I did before recording those snares and those hi-hats was I set it to 70% instead of 100%. So there'll be a little bit of variation, a little bit of timing variation, because I'll hit the pads a little bit off. And it just kind of like gives things a little bit more motion and groove. So yeah, I'm going to keep laying down some percussion, and then we'll get that effects unit in. what to do next. I have this JV1010 over here, which has a bunch of nice pads. It's like a smaller version of a JV1080. So yeah, maybe I'll break that out and try and do something. Oh, also, as I start to play more keyboard stuff, the K2000, that's a Kurzweil K2000 right there, that's my master keyboard. Sorry, that won't be the last time I let the loop run too long or stand up out of frame. So the K2000 is my master keyboard. It's also a synthesizer. So basically I have the MIDI out from the K2000 plugged into the MPC. And then I have in the chain from the output of the MPC is the MIDI input of the K2000. So I can play notes from it. I set local control to off. This is a good parameter to know about if you have MIDI gear. When you turn off local control, it stops the keyboard from playing the internal sounds on the synthesizer and just sends the MIDI out. So when I play notes on here, it just sends MIDI out and it waits to get notes from the MPC. So if I set the MPC's MIDI channel to 4, which is what the K2000 is set on, that's the only time it plays. Just something good to know about. Yeah, so I'm going to do something on the JV1010. Cool, so I have a 4-bar loop in mind there, so I'm going to just go over on sequencer again and duplicate, and we got 4 bars. Okay, sweet. Kind of a lot of things happen there at once, which is kind of what we want in terms of the flow. So I'm going to try and run it back and basically go over what I just did. So first, I'm now on the track mute page on the MPC. So basically, the first 16 tracks in the sequence are mapped to the 16 pads. And when I'm writing, I have a little bit of a system. So I try and reserve the first two rows, like the bottom and the second row. I try to reserve those for drum sounds. And then usually I try to keep to track 9 being the bass line, but that didn't happen. I started track 9 would be the 9th pad, the beginning of the third row from the bottom. Yeah, I usually tend to put the bass there. Today I put the Blofeld there. So if I mute everything but the Blofeld, then I have the bass right next to it. And then I have that that pad, which I'll do. Yeah, here we go. So once I got that pad in, I added this ride cymbal. Definitely, I love ride cymbals, and they give a lot of momentum. So, yeah, and then I added this percussion loop. And that's just coming off the DR660 as well. I'm using one of the DR660's separate outputs for that, and I'm actually going to adjust the volume on that. I have a hard time mixing like congas still, but it's fine. Having them on an independent channel is nice because I can send them to my reverbs and delays and stuff. That reverb, by the way, is an Alesis Nanoverb 2, really tiny, cheap unit that sounds okay. I'm not like a reverb expert, so that's like a spring reverb algorithm, I think. Doesn't sound that much like a spring reverb, but it sounds good. So that gives me a little something to play with while we're kind of running the take. So I added that, and then I came over to the 707, and I added some hand claps and tambourine, this little loop. And that's pretty loud. I'm going to see if I can get that into a little more reasonable volume range, and probably cut a lot of low end out of it because I want it just super crisp. Kind of want it to just like pop up and sit over everything. So let's see. I'm just sort of, at this point, just kind of getting lost in the loop a little bit. Trying to tell how loud things are relative to each other, but I would recommend, I would recommend when you're working on stuff, taking breaks, like we're like 40 minutes into actually working on this track, so around that time, every hour at least, it's good to take a 10 or 15 minute break if you want to keep your ears fresh, not get fatigued. Yeah, that's just a good way to kind of like make sure that you're still hearing everything right. because I've definitely been in situations where I play something for somebody and they're like, that this happened the other, like a couple weeks ago. Played something for my friend and they were just like, that rim shot is really loud. And it was. And I hadn't noticed because I've been listening to it forever. So, yeah, but I think there's pretty good amount of stuff here now as far as like things I can run through when I'm doing the arrangement of the track, which for this one is going to be a pretty slow building thing. But I'm going to see if I can add another melody of some kind. I think there's a pretty good base of like drums to use. But I'm going to see, if I can. There's some kind of melodic thing. I have some like electric piano sounds on the K2000. There's some cool lead sounds and stuff on this Triton that I just fixed up. And I have this Emu Performance, which is a little piano module. And I love piano sounds. So gonna see if I can cram something else in there as just a way of having one more element to play with when we try to arrange this, which I think we're going to try and do in maybe 3 to 4 minutes. So, all right, let's see what I can do. So I think part of the issue with that lead sound is that there's a lot of velocity variation in the notes, and it's kind of like some of them are popping out way too much. So I'm going to go to the velocity editing on the MPC and just set them all to the same value. And that one's a little hard. It's a little hard to get that to sit in the mix. But yeah, now I'm going to do a take. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks so much for tuning in. Yeah, this was pretty fun. I think I'm going to start something where I do this on a somewhat regular basis. Thank you so much to Nowadays for having me. Might not have done this without. So yeah, this is really cool. Yeah. Thank you is about all I have to say. I'm going to try and play us out now. The little, whatever this track is called. All right. Peace.